Hey, what's up, everybody? We're going to be working on some stuff that's not really specific to PayloadCMS, but, you know, it's close enough. So it's using data from PayloadCMS, and we may actually get to something with it as well in the local API. I've been learning a lot about how to use the local API to do a little bit more, or even a little bit less. So the thing that I'm considering is using the select option in the PayloadCMS, or sorry, the local API, and using that to only get the information that I need. So instead of querying a whole document, I can select just the individual fields that I want, like in GraphQL, for example. So we'll take a look at that maybe in this one, but for this, we're going to really just be figuring out how to get our table of contents to function like we want it to. So right now, it's just like it's in there. You click on it, it goes to the link, and it just like shows up, which is fine. I'm not too mad about it, but I'd love to have it like do a smooth scroll somewhere, and also to not show the pound sign. What is that? I mean, it's a hashtag, but that's just what we call it now. The hash mark is probably whatever. It's fine. I don't want that to show up in the URL bar, which just happens by default. So we can get started with that. We're going to be using use client for some of this, which means that if we look over at our project here, this is the table of contents. It shouldn't be a problem to use client here. We're not using anything on the server side, which means that we should just be able to set these links to be whatever we need them to be. So let's get started, shall we? Well, first, let's look at the table of contents. What this is doing is when I click on this, yes, it goes to the section, but then we see the ID anchor in the actual URL bar. So I don't love that. Let's get rid of it. And that's going to be the easy part, because I do know we're going to need use client, and then we're just going to use state. I know that. So let's import use state. Oh, did that work like I wanted to? Perfect. All right. So we're going to have clicked. Clicked and set clicked. And so default is going to be false. And then we're going to have our click handler, and that's going to then just go straight over here to a function where we can do so click handler. We don't need to do anything with set clicked yet. We can just do prevent default. And so why did that give, oh, it's not what I want. Oh, do I need an event? Probably. Prevent default. So now if we go to our A, we can hit on click and then do our click handler. And then this is going to be for a numbered list, which that is. So when I click on our content without media blog section, nothing happens. So that's interesting. Click handler. So if we do prevent default, let's set clicked to true, and then interesting. So maybe it needs to actually be on, not the A, it needs to be on the LI, which is fine. Very interesting. So I thought this would be the easy part. So we're doing prevent default, but it should still be going to our A there. So let's refresh. All right, so nothing happens there. Let's take a look at another project, which I believe has this. prevent. It's not in this one. So let's go look at. I should have one in my I have another couple of websites, of course, but I'm just looking for one that I have. So let's do it this way. Let's do the whole thing in this. So I've done this scroll in a bunch of different ways, but let's do it this way, where on click, we're going to do our click handler. Yes, we're going to have our prevent default, and then we're going to, I think what's happening is when it's preventing the default, it's preventing all actions. So we're going to do our window, our scroll to, and then set our top to be our document dot get element by ID, and then we want our location. So let's see what happens here. So first we're going to need to do equals location. All right, let's finish typing this out before I get back to the offset type. Top offset, which we're going to set here. Top offset, and that's going to equal, we'll say 117 pixels for now. We have to assign it to a const, of course. So now we have object is possibly null. Yeah, whatever. And then we want to set our behavior to be smooth. So now if I go down to where our click handler is, let's see what we need to do to make this work. And then we can do our click handler. Ooh. Maybe. So on click, we'll do our okay, so we've got a few things to think about here. So first, we need to think through how to get the ID, which is fine. We can do that by setting our location then to be, I have an anchor. Yes, so we can do content.anchor. And we'll see if this works even though I'm getting errors. Let's see what happens. Okay, so that's not what I wanted to do. So let's set this to be E and location. So our location should actually be something like this. Oh, I see what it's doing. Can we go back? Yeah, there we go. Get that there. E prevent default is not a function. Yes, it is. Oh. All right, so I think I just need to do this a little bit differently. So our top then is going to be get element by ID. Oops, too far back. Okay. So it's doing something. So top should be set to... Come on. Got a dog back there. Alright, so... if we then are setting our on click, I'm doing this with so scroll to section, equals our location, alright, let's just get this back to perhaps not an error. Log. Future blog. Alright, so it just goes straight to our... Ouch. Let's see. I have another project that does this. Things are just not cooperating with me today. So let's go and do our prevent default somewhere else. Top form. I don't want to use effect for this, but that is another option. So let's give it a shot. So let's go ahead and get rid of this. And I don't need state for this. So we're just going to get rid of that and on click. And we're going to use effect instead. And here, oops. And then let's set our dependencies before I forget. So we're going to do document query selector all that include a href, and that start with an ID identifier. And then for each we're going to for each anchor, we're then going to add an event listener, anchor dot event, add event listener, and then we're going to add the click event listener with a function of e. Then we'll prevent default, which what I thought was going to be the easy part. And then we're going to do window scroll to. That gives me an X and a Y, but that's not what I want. We'd like to go top, which is going to be our document dot query selector. And then it's going to be this dot get attribute href. Not scroll height, offset top, and then we'll set it to like 125 pixels. We'll see what happens there. And then set our behavior to smooth, refresh, load this up, which that's not going to give me anything because that's not right. And let's go to future blog. There we go. So now we have table of contents. That goes down, but that's too many pixels. Set this. So I don't think I need any offset top. The offset should only be for if the nav is there, but we don't have our nav being sticky, so yeah, there we go. So that offset height or offset type offset top is just for the size of our nav bar. So that is all good, which means we're okay here. So we have our table of contents, which now you can see up here in the URL bar. We don't have the ID identifier pop up anymore. And then it scrolls down nice and smooth there. So now if we get to the bottom here, we might want to add something like a scroll to top. So we could do this. We'll want to set a button. So instead of having a link to the top, we could just set a button, which this is going to be easier. We could do, I say that, but we'll see what happens. So let's use state, and we're going to do click to top, set click to top, and we're going to have false. And let's just add at the bottom of our content container we'll add a button that just says to top for now. It won't stay like that forever. But we should then see, where's our oh, it's right there. Add it to end of our section container. Oh, this is just the table of contents. So we'll need to then go, so not putting our state in here. So this is just for the table of contents. This is fine how it is. So let's get rid of use state. We don't need that in there. If we go to our page, which we'll go to blog slug. So we won't have this on every page, but we should have it on our blog page. So we are querying something here. I don't need that or this. Okay, we can leave some of these in here, but since we're querying stuff here, we can't use client at this level. So what we'll do instead is at the end of our blog here, we're going to add a button to top just so we can get it on the front end real quick. So there's our button, but we're going to need to create a new component for this. So we're going to go to our components folder, add a new directory, and we'll call this to top button. Then we're going to add a new TypeScript file, and we'll call this to top button JSX. We're going to use client, and we're going to export a function that we'll call to top button, and then return the button that we're talking about. And then we're going to, in here, use state to top, and we'll initialize that as false. And so then we'll have a const where we'll do our click handler here, which will not have an E. It'll just open straight up into a function, which we will then do document. Oh, I wonder if that would have helped. Let's see what happens with this. Because this would have made life way easier if we did this. So let's go to our page. At the end of our, oh, that's all pages. At the end of our blog, we can add our to top button, self-closing. It shows up a little bit differently in my IDE because it's a client. And so if I click this, nothing happens. Okay, so good. I didn't waste my time. So to top button, we're going to do document dot, is it document? Let's use this as an example. So we'll just set window scroll to, not document. Window scroll to 0, 0. So then we can do on click handler, and hopefully this just works. So let's refresh just in case. Bam. And then I should be able to do scroll behavior still, if I remember right. Top behavior, so options. So let's do this differently. Top, not to top, 0, and then behavior smooth. So now we scroll down, scrolls us back up to the top, nice and smooth. So it's not helpful that it's always down there at the bottom. So we'll want it to fade in and be kind of absolute. So let's go up to here in our to top button and do new style sheet, do CSS index.module, and honestly this actually needs to be renamed to index. No, don't rename the function. That's going to break this though. Should it? Yes, because the import changed. Maybe. Oh no, it just needed to catch up. All right, so cool. So what we want to do though, let's set our classes, class name, sorry, classes dot to top, and we're gonna import classes from index. Perfect. So to top, and then we can set our position to be absolute. So when we refresh, we'll see this show up somewhere. But let's get it a little bit more positioned. So let's do bottom 20, and then let's do left 20 just so we can see it show up. There's our to top button. That's not what I expected it to do. So we always want it to be there in that bottom corner, so it's essentially pinned there. So maybe it needs to be sticky instead. Yep, there we go. So now it's pinned in the bottom. I have the static route icon that's there, but I can see the to top button. So just to get it out of that way, let's set it to like left of 40, should be enough. Let's do 60. And really this can stay in the sidebar section here because that will never get below. This will always stay higher. This will never overlap. So I kind of like that. So we'll do to top, and then this will scroll us down. We can click to top, but we don't always want this to be here. We'll get there in a second. But first, let's go to our material icons, and let's get an up. What should our up arrow be? Keyboard arrow up. I like that one. Upgrade, straight, height, moving. I did like keyboard, arrow drop up. I like this one. So we'll go with this. We'll just copy the SVG and change this to be that SVG. And set the fill to be current color. All right, so it's there in current color. But that current color right now is in black. So I don't like that. And then we probably want to do a border. All right, so a couple things here. So first, let's set our color to be our variable dark primary. And then let's do a border, which will be, yep, that looks good. And then include, do I have BG pill? Let's see. So first we're going to need to do at use CSS. This should be variables as perfect. Okay. So now let's do padding of 1 rem. Whoops. Oh, that's too much. 0.5 maybe? Cool. And then of course I don't want it to be offset like that. I just don't like that the static route thing is there. So then we can do and hover and have it be background color, dark primary, and then color can be variable light primary. And then we can do transition all. Same thing up here. So now looks great. Don't really want, I like the flat look, so we're cool with that. Perfect. So now we don't want it to show up right away. So we'll probably want it to show up right when our table of contents is out of view. Or really, once our nav is out of view, which we understand is about 100 pixels. Yeah, okay. So let's set that the opacity can't talk anymore. Opacity shows up when it gets below a certain height. So let's see. Okay, so, all right, let's look back at another one of our sites, new window. All right, so I do have a to top button that does this as well. So to top. Let's prevent default. Okay, top click, scroller. So, all right, so here we go. So we're gonna do a couple things here where we don't really want this to be visible yet, and I don't really even need state here because it's being handled in that click. So perfect. So let's get rid of use state for now. Nope, I need use state still. All right, so we're just gonna use it for something else. So let's get our use state block back in. We're gonna set it to be visible, and we'll set it to be initially visible. And then we're going to add a new const where we're going to handle visibility. I don't like all of that. And then set this to be an arrow function. Then from there, we'll do const scrolled equals document dot document element scroll top. Scroll top. Then if scrolled, this is going to be pixels, so we're going to do greater than, we'll just say 100 pixels, and we'll see what happens at different screen sizes. Set visible to true, else set visible to false. Great, so now we can go to our whole button itself, and then I think I'm going to see on scroll we can do handle visibility change. and see what happens. So I refresh, that should go away. It does not. I wonder why. Handle visibility change. Visible. So maybe not on scroll. So I think, let's take a look. Where do I have this set to? Toggle visible. Oh, heh. All right, so the problem though is that I need to have a class to tell it what to do. So if we do this, and then do, let's say, visible, classes dot visible. If not, classes dot hidden. So then we can do visible display. Let's just do onset. But really, let's actually, what is the other one? Not display, but I know what this is. Visibility. Let's do hidden. Wait, no. Visible. And then hidden. We can do visibility. Hidden. So I'm probably going to change this, but now we can refresh. Our arrow should disappear, and it is not visible until I scroll down a little bit. It's still not visible. Okay. So, visibility unset. So visible, set visibility. Okay, so then I need to do on scroll. It is. All right, so I think the problem is that I'm setting this different. All right, so this needs to be set at the window. So let's do another use effect. And we're going to do that. Import use effect. And then we're going to set, not resize, but scroll. So instead of doing on scroll on the element, which is not changing in depth since it's pinned, we need to set the window to be visible, which there it is. All right, and so the reason I want to change this is because I want to be able to have it fade in. Also, 100 is way too fast. So let's do 200. And that should be perfect. And then, so for visible, we'll set opacity to 1. And we'll set opacity to 0 for hidden. And then for both, we'll set a transition opacity, and we'll set it to do ease in and out. Perfect. So now, nice fade in, nice fade out. Scroll up to the top, good to go. Scroll there, up to the top. So I wonder if we can have it scroll to the table of contents instead. Let's take a look. So, well, then I need to set a link. Okay. So at hidden as well, we want to make sure that it's not selectable. So we're going to do our pointer events to be none. So while it's, oh, and hover. Let's refresh. So I can still see it. Inspect. Oop. And I know we're going to see it, so that's not the end of the world. The problem is that I don't want it to have the ability to hover over it and click it. So let's force our hover state. Pointer events, none. And then I think I need to set the cursor to be not pointer, but default. There we go. Okay. Let me come down, and now I can use my regular pointer. Great. So again, don't really want it there, but the static route thing is killing me. So let's put it back into the corner, just like we wanted it to be. Oops. Do that, and now it looks great. Perfect. Love it. Can click up, can go down, then back up. So that looks good. It's a good place to take a short break. I'll be right back. All right, so we've got a nice icon here to bring our page back up to the top for any long blog. And this should happen for all blogs, but not on like this page. Doesn't get low enough for this page, but like this one, perfect, yes, great. So that'll bring us back up to the top. So now for a little bit of blog navigation here, I need to use some breadcrumbs, like probably above the title, or maybe just right below it, probably right above it. So let's go, the reason why is we want to be able to, like we can't select blog here because it's an active page, but we need to be able to like go back to the blog or the home. So I just want to look at the contacts page real quick. Yeah, okay. So back to blog. So we're going to go to our blog page. So like the main one. No, this is right. So featured blog. And so above the title, we can do a couple things here. In the aside, above the title in the sidebar, we're going to include our breadcrumbs right here. So that shows up right there. It's small. Yeah. So small is good, but we need to set our brain work. Oh yeah, global CSS. We need to set our small to be the primary dark color. So we see our breadcrumbs over here. They're now in the correct color. And I can see a use for this being a component. So we will do a component. All right, so we should already have a breadcrumbs component, but I don't think it's going to work. Let's see what happens. So let's do breadcrumbs container. And then it's expecting children, which we could do. You know, I don't think this does anything now. I don't think it does, yeah. So what does this look like, though? Fine. All right, so we'll leave that as a breadcrumbs container, and then in our breadcrumbs, we're going to create a new file, breadcrumbs.tsx. We're going to export function breadcrumbs return small. Well, actually, let's return a span of smalls, because we're going to have small, not even a span of smalls, because we're going to need a link and then do home. Well, let's do it this way, because we'll want an array of objects which will have our link and text. So let's set this up with breadcrumbs, and then as a type, interface, we'll do breadcrumbs. Breadcrumb props, I guess, would be a good name for it. Don't need that equal sign. And here for each breadcrumb, we want a link, which can be a string. And then we want a name, which is also a string. Both are link is not required, because the final object is going to be, the final object will be unclickable, because you don't want to be able to click on the same page that you're on. It doesn't make sense. Cool. So go over here. So we'll do breadcrumb props, and that's going to be that, and then breadcrumbs will be breadcrumb props. Great. So now we can, in this span, we'll do our breadcrumbs dot, I guess I can't do that there, but I can do it here. Do breadcrumbs dot map, and then have for every breadcrumb, and then we'll have an index, and then we'll have our array, so we can keep track of when the last one is. So set this to be that. Oh, everything is a mess right now, but I think it's just because of the typing. So let's do, let's just get everything out there first. So for our breadcrumbs, we'll have, we'll say link, then href will be link, no, link, okay, and then this will be name. Breadcrumb. All right, and then add a key of index. So, this is where TypeScript really gets me. So, let's set this out here instead. Return. Okay. So breadcrumbs is, so breadcrumb we can set as breadcrumb props. So I don't want it to be a URL. There we go. Index, which is going to be a number, and then array, which is going to be So let's change some things up real quick. So type breadcrumb props is equal to all of that. Set you to be breadcrumb props. All right, so now let's just get the name in. Breadcrumb.name. Okay, that's probably all wrong. There we go. Get rid of the array. Okay, that feels better. Don't know why that was so difficult. All right, so now we can do link, then href. We can do breadcrumb.link. Perfect. So now we can do this actually needs to be here. We can do a small, because in here we need to have a separator, which will go back to our material U. And let's do, can I do, up is typed in, so let's do right, chevron right. Can I do double? This one looks better to me. So we'll do that, and then fill current color. Hit that. So nothing will show up because I haven't done anything yet, but here we can then set our array dot length plus 1, which is not equal to right. So I have to look this up again. So dot length. Oh, here we go. So I have my I plus 1. All right, so which here is actually index plus 1 is less than that. If not, we'll do small, and then breadcrumb dot name. Cool. So now we're going to go over to our breadcrumbs container here and do breadcrumbs, which is going to have our breadcrumbs. Did I export this right? I did. Let's export breadcrumbs from breadcrumbs. Import breadcrumbs. Get rid of all that. Okay, so that's imported correctly. And now breadcrumbs is expecting our breadcrumbs, which just for now we're going to have const breadcrumbs is equal to list of, we have our home page, we have the blog page, and then we have our blog dot title. So then I know name needs to be blog, and link needs to be well, here I can just do /blog, and then for home, link, and then name home, and then we can do our breadcrumbs there. Let's see what happens. Breadcrumbs.map is not a function. Should be. There we go. All right. So, one error, I need the key. All right, so we go back to there, and then we can do our small, do key of index, key index, perfect. So, we also want this to be to lowercase. Then we're going to have to do some styling here as well, but that's going to not be too difficult. So to lowercase. I don't know why I just like breadcrumbs to be lowercase. All right, and so what we're going to do is in our link, we'll do class name, classes, which does not exist quite yet. And then we'll do breadcrumb link, and then down here we'll do classes, or sorry, class name, classes, breadcrumb. We will import our classes before we move over, so import classes from index.module. Okay, come over here. And now I'm gonna have to adjust a lot of what that says, but first in our breadcrumb link, we'll do font weight bold with text decoration of underline, because these are links and I want them to look like that. Now we look at what we have here. So we have two smalls and a span, so small needs to be Yeah, I thought so. So inline. Weird. So if we do, so first of all, let's just get display flex. Yeah, the span display flex also needs to happen. Okay, so quite a few things happening here. So let's start here. So we have a breadcrumbs container, which is doing absolutely nothing. So set flex here, unset flex here. All right, so we have this P. Is that my breadcrumbs container? It is. Don't love that, so let's set that to be a div. Refresh. Okay, that's better. So now, in our breadcrumbs container, it is currently still flex. Flex wrap of wrap. Line item center, margin top of 0. So these are still not doing anything. Totally fine. This span, though, needs to be display flex. And then flex wrap, no wrap. So each of these smalls display flex. Okay. So each small, hopefully, there we go. Okay. So in our breadcrumbs, we need to go back to the small. Did the span need flex as well? Yes. All right, so we need to add a class to the span and a class to each small. So we can do class name equals classes dot, and we'll do here, do I actually need this span? I don't think I need this span. Okay, there we go. So then we need the small then. That breadcrumb already has it, so then class name we can do, we could just do breadcrumb here. Because that shouldn't change the link itself. Great. So breadcrumbs, breadcrumb should be display flex. And there we go. So let's go ahead and align item center and then do flex wrap. So all of these are about the same size, if I'm correct. Yeah. I don't like how these are bold. But I don't think it's their fault. That's just part of the icon. So let's see if we can find a smaller icon. And by smaller, I mean thinner. Does not look like there are any. So that's fine. It looks like it fits in, so I'm okay with that. But they do look a little big. So they're 24 pixels. I should be able to change that. Let's set our height to 12 is too little, but 18. 18 looks good. One rem? One rem. It's always one rem. Alright, so then we'll do breadcrumb link. Oh, let's go to breadcrumbs and do height of 1 rem. Should take that, I believe. Yes, there we go. So that looks pretty good. And then it does rep, which is perfect. And now it does not take me to the blog because I need to, in my breadcrumbs here, I have our link. Can I get rid of that? And then that, home and blog, perfect. Great, so now I can go back to the blog and be good. And go to a different blog, and then I'm able to see. So let's set the sidebar to be just a little bit different. That way, sidebar container, the top, where's the sticky part? Top 0. That way there's just a little bit more breathing room. And it should probably, just like all of my other spacing, 1 rem. And then that looks great. So this seems to be like a great place to stop. We have a very well-functioning blog here now, where we can now navigate back to our blog homepage and our regular homepage just with the click of a button, and then we can get back to the blog and just navigate however we want to. We could add also, we're going to write it down because I do think we should add it, a way to go between blogs. So somewhat similar to pagination, but not quite the same. I gotta find, there we go. So first, the reason why SendGrid wasn't sending emails was just for some reason. I do like resend more now. I did a tutorial to set one of those up, so that'll be coming out soon. But the reason SendGrid wasn't sending something was I think I just needed to restart my server, so we can get rid of that. We did our smooth scroll to top, and prevent default text from being added to our table of contents functionality. We did not test out our select and populate options in local API. That's okay, we'll do it the next time when we add categories. But I do have here to add blog navigation and breadcrumbs, which we've done breadcrumbs, so we just need blog navigation. And then when we do, let's see, we can work on schema with our blog navigation. So that'll really round out our blogs in general. So we would be able to have a way to I think that's okay with it overlapping text like that. I wonder why. Well, at smaller screen sizes that doesn't matter too much, but here we need to go back to our table of contents, to top button, transition all, and hover. Should I just do all for this? I'm just trying to fix where the, yeah, there we go. The background color was just cutting back to the regular color. Anyway, so we will continue working on our schema after our blog navigation, but next I think we'll work on setting select and populate options in local API and work with the categories to get those set up as well. Because what we'll want to do is, even at the end of these blog posts, have a way to query related blog posts at end of blog page. And so we'll do that. I honestly also want to switch to resend. Switch to resend, because I've just learned a lot about how the email situation works. So we'll come back to all of that, but this is a great place to stop. We did a lot with our blog. We have this to top button that goes up to the top. We added our breadcrumbs there to our sidebar, which allows us to scroll and navigate throughout the rest of the website. So next step is adding like maybe a bar here or something else to go to the previous or to the next blog, and adding schema to this, but we'll work on that in a couple of videos. So that's it for this one. If you liked this, go ahead and make sure you're subscribed to my channel to make sure you always know when I go live or drop other content around PayloadCMS and more. If you found it helpful, share it, like it, whatever you have to do to make sure other people can see this content as well. If you have questions, suggestions, please leave them in the comments. I'm happy to help. Until then, I'll see you on the next one.